You're listening to Covenant Eyes Radio, helping you to fight for integrity in a sex-saturated culture. I'm Luke Gilkerson, the Educational Resource Manager here at Covenant Eyes. And in the studio today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Joy McMillan, author of the book with a clever title, XES, Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards. Today, Joy will be talking with us about why she wrote this book, how some women in the church tend to think backwards about the subject of sex, and what can be done about that. All right, Joy McMillan, good to have you in the studio today. I was really delighted to hear that you were so close to our headquarters here. And how long have you lived in Michigan?
Wow, Michigan. I thought you were going to say Merrill.
Merrill, Michigan. Yeah.
Michigan. I have lived here for officially half of my life.
Half of your life. I can tell by your accent you're not from around here. Where are you from?
No. I was born in South Africa.
Okay.
And then moved to Namibia, which is the country northwest of South Africa. Most people have not heard of it.
I have never.
Although
heard of it.
bread and Angelina, half of my life.
Half of your life. I can tell by your accent you're not from around here. Where are you from?
No. I was born in South Africa.
Okay.
And then moved to Namibia, which is the country northwest of South Africa. Most people have not heard of it.
I have never.
Although
heard of it.
Brad and Angelina put it on the map when they decided to have a baby there.
Okay.
We're like, yes, people know. They can't pronounce it, but they know. And so that's
Can you pronounce it again?
Namibia.
Namibia.
Or if you're a real local, it's Namibia. Used to be Southwest Africa.
Okay.
And
Right.
then we moved to the States in 94. Our visas expired a year and a half later. Went home for a year and a half to Namibia, came back, and I've officially been here for, 18 years.
18 years. All right. Well, I really wanted to talk to you today because we have this book. Got this book in my hands here. Your book, XES: Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards, and How to Get It Right. All right. This is a really interesting book. It's a very bold topic. Why did you choose to write this book and the title the way you did?
That's a big question with a big answer.
Yeah.
It was a dream of mine for a few years to write a book about this topic because for so many years it was a sore point in my life and a source of such great shame. And, the church ultimately should be the place that we would bring up our wounds and our baggage. And yet, especially when it comes to our sexuality, the church now is so associated with shame and judgment that I think people stuff their stuff. And so I had gotten so used to stuffing my stuff that when I experienced the freedom of being able to lay a lot of it down and confront those issues, that shame from having such a broken, promiscuous past, I wanted to share that with people. I didn't want to keep that freedom as possible to myself. And so this was just an adventure. I've never thought of myself as a writer. Speaking is very natural for me, writing not so much. So it was certainly a brave, scary thing for me. And the title was actually decided upon on a date night when I told my hubby, I'm thinking about titling it Hot, Holy, and Horizontal. And he said, oh, please don't. Nobody will read it. And so he came up with the title XES. And I thought, well, that's a little confusing, which is where the subtitle came from. I thought, but it's backward. Oh, well, the church does tend to get it backwards. Okay, well, why church girls tend to get it backwards. And I don't want to point out a problem and not offer a solution. And how to get it right.
Oh, that's great. I just have to ask because releasing this podcast here on the very close to the release of the new 50 Shades of Grey movie based on the book. And you have a chapter here entitled 50 Shades of Counterfeit. That's really interesting. It's fitting since the movie's coming out. And so I wanted you to comment on this. Any comments on the 50 Shades craze?
It's not too surprising. It's sad. It's scary. And yet I know quite a few women who have read it. In fact, it was even in my Kindle shopping cart many months ago. Actually, a year ago, when I was writing this, there was this interest of, well, what is everybody talking about? And as I talk about in the book, pornography and everything that kind of floats around in that world and that cesspool was something that I was a part of. And so there were still strings attached to me. While it's not an issue anymore and there's not those addictions anymore, there's still, it's still something I have to be vigilant about, watching myself and keeping on guard. And so I had it in my cart with a sense of, well, I want to know what everyone's talking about. And I'm so thankful I wised up and decided, no, I don't want to go there. I'm still processing through things that I burned into my mind as a teenager, and why would I want to do it again? So
in your own story then, you talk about promiscuous past, but does that include, erotica, sexual fantasy, that kind of stuff? Is that all kind of bound up in your story?
Yes, actually, there's a chapter, the 50 Shades of Counterfeit, was one where I dealt specifically with pornography, masturbation, and erotica. And part of it was because I think there's a myth or misunderstanding of the fact that this is a man's issue. And while men are more physically inclined to be drawn to pornography, erotica certainly is almost like the woman's version of it because it captures our heart in a different way. And while that erotica wasn't too much of an issue for me, the first time I read a book that was when I was 10. And my sister had brought home a book from the library, and I don't know how it was that I found out that that's what it was, but I snuck away into the bathroom and read through. Of course, was just, wasn't reading it. I was scanning it, looking for keywords. And it surprised me how my little body responded to that. And, this firestorm of what I know now, are these neurochemicals. I was 10. Okay. And a good Christian home. My parents were great about, kind of filtering what came into the house. But here my sister's an avid reader, and she brought this book home from the library. And it awakened something in me that I didn't know was there. And so it kind of set into motion some things that I had not experienced before. And then I was 13 when I watched my first pornographic movie. My parents were house sitting for people, and I was just filtering through things, and I found a VHS and popped it in and went, whoa! And while I wasn't exposed to it much after that, in the years just after that, when I found myself as a 15-year-old just struggling with, I was messing around with other things and just trying to see how far can I go without losing it. And then when I found myself drunk as a 15-year-old and in the bedroom of the brother that I liked, and it was this big thing to see, who can get her. And they flew out to England the next day, and I never saw them again. That was so pivotal for me because I'd been holding on to this one thing that was going to keep me, as a good Christian girl, and now that was taken from me. And so I just went crazy. That affected the way I carried myself. I had no reason to say no anymore. And so all these things that had been awakened in me at a younger age suddenly here they were. And I got quite hooked.
Well, we're going to talk more about that. I'm going to cut to commercial right now, and we will talk more with Joy McMillan right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from walkinginfreedom.net. I can remember how isolated and hopeless I felt when I was battling a strong addiction to pornography. Here I was, married to a godly, attractive